The following Earth Angel Media presentation is brought to you commercial-free as a gratuity from the sponsor-producer named after the show. Please consider their message. Find other high-value shows listed at earthangelproject.com. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Soul Decodes. Join us as we wander off the path to find the ideas that fascinate. We talk about spirituality, the mind, the ego, wellness, and hidden history with tips, travels, and tales. Charms for a better life.
Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Phillips, and welcome to Soul Decodes. This is a special episode we put together for y'all because, well, honestly, because
it's Thanksgiving.
Tirri said we're doing it.
Thanksgiving is coming up, and we're going to publish this around the Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah, it's imminent. I
guess tomorrow, right?
It's imminent, right?
Imminent. Yeah.
Well, this is Tuesday. We're recording this Tuesday for a Thursday first thing in the morning launch.
Oh, you're going to do it on Thursday morning? Great.
I mean, yeah, is that all right? I mean,
yeah.
you're the ultimately.
Well, no, that sounds good.
I mean, you're the boss. If you just
people could wake up and listen to it.
Well, that way they can do whatever they want to do.
They can practice being thankful.
Well, and we're still going to go ahead and have the Friday regularly scheduled show that we already recorded, and that's good. It's in the queue.
Yeah,
but
we got to do one Friday as well. But I'll talk about that after this one.
But we thought it would be a good idea to have a show today. You wanted to do a Thanksgiving show. Tell me, what are your thoughts? What are some of the things you wanted to do? Why did you want to do a Thanksgiving show?
Because it's an American holiday, and which is inbound, and if you can embody what it means to be grateful and thankful, you've elevated your consciousness, so your manifestations in the external reality are going to be upgraded too. Because external reality is a mirror of what goes on in our minds. So the key spiritual practice is to upgrade your consciousness in order to manifest something of an upgraded quality too. And the best way to do that is to be thankful for something.
So I typically don't put together too many notes, but in this case, I wanted to make the most of this. It's kind of a special coverage. Mm-hmm. It's a special coverage for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So I thought,
and we'll do one for Christmas too.
Oh yeah, for
what
Christmas
other holidays we got coming up?
Every day's a holiday in my work. So, but yeah, no. So I thought what we do is kind of just go through some things. I have some ideas what I'd like to do for this episode.
Go on then.
I think we should start off like one of the most obvious things to me is the fact that you have a lot of history in England. I'd like to get an English perspective on American Thanksgiving, but then you're also an American. So I think it'd be a good discussion to talk about what Thanksgiving is and also what it is not.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if we could just open up with, from Sarah Tirri's world, what Thanksgiving is.
Well,
and what
to be
it's not.
thankful is a spiritual practice, and it's not something you do on the third Thursday. It's something you wake up doing every morning. So that aside, it's the time when the Puritans came over because King James was apparently a real pig and they didn't like being under the Anglican rule because they didn't think that it was pure enough because it was still, and it had the rituals of the Roman Catholic Church. So they got on a boat, 102 of them, I believe, came over here and then hit land and settled. So I see Americans as just being an extension of the British. We're no different. You're American, but I'm British, but we're the same, right? We just live on different continents, but we're the same.
I mean, okay, so I hear what you're saying, and I've got about literally thousands of buddies and friends, and that really we see ourselves as very different in so many basic ways than the British do, and this goes back to a couple episodes ago when, I talked about you being the snobby silver spoon British.
Snobby! I don't think we use that word.
Well, whatever word I used. But I was sharing with you that I'm this scrappy American, and you said you're not scrappy.
Yeah.
But really, Americans are pretty scrappy. And when I say that, it's not a derogatory term. It means that if we have an idea in our head that's the correct and proper thing, then we're going to do whatever it takes to make that happen.
So scrappy means determined.
Scrappy means
going
determined.
to go for it.
Tenacious.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to stop me. I'm scrappy.
Yeah.
In my world, in the context that we talked about a few episodes ago, I was simply just sharing that when life doesn't present you with a whole bunch of abundance, and you have to literally scrap for tidbits and take whatever you can get and leverage it and maximize it. I've relearned
Scrap
this.
also means waste. You're going to scrap something. It's got a lot of texture to that word.
Well, scrappy would mean that your waste is something very beneficial to me. And I was just going to say that when I moved out to the farm here, we learned very quickly that even a scrap piece of lumber is very valuable on the farm. If there's a piece of rope that's not tattered and torn, or it's 3 feet, we save the rope. Like there's something you can do with a piece of 3-foot rope.
Yeah.
And so on the farm, we're very grateful. We're thankful. And we'll use the term grateful and thankful.
No, I think let's stick to thankful because they're interchangeable at the level we're talking about them.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And so this state of gratitude or being thankful.
You could call it grateful giving or thanksgiving.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So
let's start a new holiday, call it grateful giving. We'll do it in June.
I like it.
I like it too.
So in your world, what is Thanksgiving, both as a Brit and as an American? Is it nothing as a Brit?
Didn't even know about it as a Brit.
Okay, so it's a non-factor.
Non-factor, absolutely. And Halloween was another one. We didn't get into Halloween, but I didn't really know about Thanksgiving until I started spending time in America when I was 21. And then I realised it's a whole thing. I mean, it's a bigger holiday in America than it is. I mean, Christmas is a huge holiday in England, but Thanksgiving had no meaning to me until I became a citizen of this country. Well, I was a resident prior to that. And it's this big holiday once a year that everyone gets together and we celebrate that we're grateful. And we've got a lot to be grateful about in this country. So
that's something Thanksgiving is. In America, it's an agreement that we have a lot to be thankful for. So we can agree on that. I kind of disagree on this whole idea, this romanticism of these Puritans sitting down peacefully with Indians and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not really convinced that.
No.
I'm not convinced of any
That's
of the
a historical fact, yeah.
The history that we've been given, this textbook.
Oh, I have to give you your gift now.
Oh
okay. So this is so funny. You should say, okay, now you've taken us onto that subject.
Okay.
This will have meaning now. So in England, we had the old red telephone boxes. Do you remember those? Okay, they're still there, but they're not used as telephone boxes anymore. So they've turned them into book exchanges. So they've put shelves and then fill them up with books. People go there and they take books in and out. And I think it's absolutely beautiful, and they're kind of a real part of our heritage. So I went to this phone box and I found this book, and it's perfect for you. So I'm going to give it to you. Well, actually, I'll say what it is over the mic. So this is it, Forbidden History. And you just mentioned that you're not convinced that the story of the Puritans is true. This is for you. This is Forbidden History. And now there's just people's essays on it, so you haven't got to read it from start to finish. You could just pick out an essay.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You really love me because it's a picture book. Pilots need pictures. No, this is great. Thank you.
Yeah, and you can read just 6 pages. It's someone's essay about something they know about, which is a lie. So anyway, back to Thanksgiving. So you don't believe in that.
We're not going back to Thanksgiving yet because I've actually got something for you.
Oh,
so thank you. So you invited us over to jet ski at your after the hurricane. Hopefully you can still get to the jet skis, but
the water's receded.
Full disclosure, we bought this for some friends of ours, but then they sold their house and they subsequently sold their pool.
Oh.
So I've got these and we want you to have them.
What are they? Oh, they're lovely. A swim tube with handles.
They're really cool swim
That
tubes.
is lovely.
Because you can't have a beautiful swimming pool like you have.
No, and I love the colours.
Right.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So
Tony, I like to be in my pool in one of these, and then Tony moves me all around the pool, and then he'll spin. And I'm looking up at the oak tree above me and at the clouds. It's such a trip. So I'll think of you when I get in one of these.
LSD trip.
He'll be on the other one.
But those are your floaties.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They feel kind of
They're
hefty.
very heavy. They're pretty durable.
Yeah, they feel like like military grade.
You deserve the best.
Thank you.
Military grade floaties. I love it. Those are
Thank you.
Military issue. So anyway, so what is things?
So back to you were saying that you don't. This party that supposedly we were told that the English got together and then it was a peaceful, lovely la 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 evening with the Native Americans, and that is what we have been sold as historical truth, and you object to that.
Well, what I object to is this: I'm what's called a truther, right? A truther means I don't believe any one of us has all of the pieces of truth. I think there's fragments of truth scattered all about the place. And each of us should be cognizant that Sarah Tirri's got some pieces to the puzzle.
Bit of it here and there, yeah.
I've got some pieces of the puzzle. Your spouse does, my spouse does, my neighbor does.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
We should approach this with the idea that if we collaborate in a peaceful way, discuss, well, what piece do you have? That looks like the piece of the barn roof. Oh, this looks like the piece of the tractor. Like, whatever the puzzle pieces say, we can share with each other and try to figure this out.
Yeah.
When we look at the historical aspect of what we're led to believe that Thanksgiving is supposed to be, this was not a peaceful thing that Americans did. You can look at some people that said that, like one account of America is that we have pyramids in the Grand Canyon. Like we have gold in there's all sorts of accounts that...
So you're going, there's a prehistory.
There's a prehistory to
anything.
prehistory.
I mean, 1600 is relatively recent. So you're saying that something major was going on this continent.
So I'm not satisfied that Thanksgiving should be... I think Thanksgiving, we should be thankful that we have the cognitive skills and the logical capability to see through lies and deception when they occur. Oh. Now, am I saying that is categorically false, that the Puritans and the Indians, they weren't huggy, kissy face?
Kumbaya.
I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm saying that I have the right to question it.
Yes.
And when I see evidence when I see written documents that, George Washington was thanking the Sultan of Morocco for giving him some space to get the bills paid. I can show you those documents. Why would President Washington be thanking the Sultan of Morocco? That indicates that maybe North America belonged to Morocco at some point. So these are things we have to look at.
And why do we have to look at them? This one particularly. Why this thanks? What irks you about us believing that to be a real event?
In a broader sense, let's ask this question. To what degree, just pick any topic anywhere, to what degree are you okay with being deceived?
Well, my take on reality is that I don't know what's truthful and what's not. Now, if I was so inclined, I could do what you're doing and start looking for the truth. And that's going to be useful in your life plan, what you have, that we've got to be open. I mean, I don't believe the Bible is... People think this is a true event, right? And I don't believe that. I believe it's a bunch of stories that, interpreted correctly, might be useful for your spiritual development. Other than that, and I don't know what reality is now, because we're told one thing on the news and then another thing, and there's no way of verifying anything unless you're prepared to spend countless hours digging. So what I prefer to do is pull back and just work on my own mind and my own consciousness to manifest the world that I want. So I can have whatever I want within this reality. So the fact that we've been lied to is so highly likely to me about everything. I think it's like a Dr. Seuss planet. We don't know what's up, down, in and out. So I tend to pull back from that and not worry about it too much because I think that we've been lied to about most.
I agree with you about scriptures because a lot of people will badger on me because I don't believe that there's certain people that say that their book, whether it's the Bible or the Quran or whatever their book is is the definitive answer, and it's the only answer. And if you don't believe this way, you're a heathen, or you're
you're going to go to hell.
You're going to
Burn
go
in hell.
you're going to go to hell.
Wow.
Well, I don't believe that. I believe we're all precious and we're all beautiful creations, right? Or as your case, maybe not creations, but evolutions. So I don't think there's one.
Evolution is creation. It was a created evolutionary process.
Okay,
it wasn't random.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you and your words.
Sorry to nitpick.
So I'm not disparaging any group of people who believe that their book is the best. If it's the best for you, use your book.
Yeah, your life better be working out if that book is real, right? You should be known by your fruit. You better be a really happy, thriving, rich, buoyant Christian for you to convince me that believing in that book has some merit. Because you've got to test your own belief system. It has to work for you.
Are you suggesting that the fruits of the Spirit should be so evident that you don't have to tell me that what your religion is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Nicely put.
All right.
Yes.
Perfect. So what I'm saying is that the scriptures do say, at least I don't know if all of them. You've read way more scriptures than I have. Like all the other books and whatever you've read. Like your library is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I can't read unless there's pictures. But it is a chapter book.
It's going to be your birthday.
It's a chapter book. It's going to be a challenge.
Yeah. Well, that's just going to be independent essays. So you can just do 6 pages.
I can do 6 pages.
And that's good. And
Right.
then you'll learn something you didn't know.
What I'm saying is that I think that if we're going to come to this world as a child, okay, if I'm going to come to this world as a child, that means that I need to have this, not childish, but childlike disposition.
Yes. Which is what Jesus said, be ye as little children.
But what do children do? They ask questions.
And they don't have preconceived ideas or dogmas.
Children ask questions.
They explore.
Now, here in the Western paradigm with the Rockefeller schools, we're taught to be employees, to not think critically. We're dumbed down. Drink the fluoride water, do this. We're dumbed down. Well, excuse me, but I want my children to ask tough questions. I want them to ask questions. Not once. I've got 4 children and 4 grandchildren. If they have a question about anything at all, I don't want to tell them, oh, that's a stupid question. No. I say, well, let's explore it. Let's explore that, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's one of the most valuable things we can learn from children is to learn how to ask questions.
Yeah.
Mommy, why does that man have no hair?
Yeah, I know.
Right? Mommy, why is that lady so big?
Charlie asked me,
right?
He's my oldest son, why is water wet?
That's a brilliant question. But
and I thought, I have no fucking clue.
Well, I always joke with people. It's like, I love children. In fact, when I grow up, I want to be one. Yeah.
But this whole thing about asking, that's biblical to ask and thou shalt receive. Well, what's that all about?
Well,
because you receive answers once you ask, and answers is the evolutionary component that's going to allow us to grow and become more.
Even knock, seek, and ask. Knock and knock, the door shall open, right? Seek and you'll find, and then ask and you'll get your answers. Yeah. The problem is, so few people are asking questions.
We've been encouraged not to.
It's like we have what's called the Mockingbird.
Told what to believe.
Mockingbird media, where you can change channels. Oh, this is stupid. I'm going to change the channel. And the next channel says the same thing because at 4 a.m. they're issued their talking points, right? Yeah. So now this week we've acknowledged that the Mockingbird media, which is called the mainstream media or the corporate media, it's gone. We are now in a point where the new administration, the new White House, is acknowledging that those front seats in the press conference, the press room, those don't need to be always ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN. Those we
should be there.
We should be there. People like us, the independent journalists, the independent podcasters.
Want to ask some questions.
We should be there. Let us ask the questions. This is not about the corporations. They don't have the right to petition Congress. That's not part of our documents. It doesn't say a corporation has the right to redress their grievances. It says we, the people, have the right to petition Congress for redress of our grievances. This is all to say that I think it's important to ask questions. And
vital.
Because I just want to know the answer. Because what happens if you have a belief system, I believe something. Well, why not ask questions to challenge that belief?
Well, I think in Christianity particularly if you start challenging it, you were considered a heretic back in the day. And when that was going on during the Inquisition, you were burnt at the stake, which has happened to me. To ask questions was frowned upon and then forbidden, discouraged, and you had to toe the party line. And if you did that and you were obedient to God's word and you repented, you could score a place in heaven.
You're a good little slave.
So you have this massive carrot dangling, which is heaven. And don't worry too much about planet Earth. You'll get to heaven, and that's when your eternal reality begins. But asking questions, I wrote a book called Is This the Best God Could Do? And I challenged Christianity quite brutally. And I will be brandished heretic for doing that, because to question God is blasphemy. And that's not just Christianity, that's a lot of other religions. And it isn't blasphemy. So for me, my questions go to God, the nature of this reality, who am I in relation to this God, and what is the nature of my mind? So questioning for me has allowed me to create a belief system which at the moment is working very well for me. But that came as around as a result of not being told. Ralph Waldo Emerson, I think, said every banned book enlightens the world.
Say that in English, like in American English.
Every banned book enlightens the world. It's when you ban a book, when you ban it.
Banned book.
Banned book.
I'm in this music studio.
Oh, banned. Okay, banned.
I thought you were talking about
N-N-E-D.
What's a banned book? Is that like a white pages? White.
It's a biography of Led Zeppelin.
It's like
so asking questions and not being afraid of doing that is what I think is vital to us solving the problems on planet Earth. So, and ask and thou shalt receive. That's biblical. You have to ask. That's the nature of evolution. But we were told not to by a lot of institutions.
Well, this kind of segues into my next discussion is, who are we and why are we here? I teach my people this all the time. It's not so much what this Earth experience gives you, it's who you become through the process. So if you and I are sitting making a puzzle at my kitchen table, we have a little drinks and snacks. And, oh, by the way, thank you for the snacks. What was the pudding?
Vegan pudding. I don't know. One looks like it's banana because it's that yellow, and the other one looks green.
I'm not going to even tell Robin about them. I'm just going to eat them both.
That's very mean. It's
am I
Thanksgiving.
evil?
No, you have to give them both to her now to repent.
Now
you've got to drink water and watch her eat them.
No, actually, you're so goofy. No, actually, I said it on the mics. Now I have to give.
Now you have to.
Sorry,
and
honey,
you have to give
for
thanks.
Even talking about. But golly, I was talking about pudding. Now I can't think of anything else.
We've got to come back to asking questions and how vital it is.
Right. So if we're making a puzzle on my kitchen table, you know, when we put the last piece of the puzzle in place, what happens typically? You've made puzzles before, right? You've made puzzles before. What happens is you look at you're like, oh, well, that's pretty. It looks just like the cover. And then you break it down and you pull out the next puzzle or you go do something else. Yeah. What brings people joy and happiness is not the completion of the puzzle. It's the process of figuring it out.
What's this supposed to look like?
So I think that much of our journey here in this earth space is not only figuring out who we are and why we're here, but also enjoying what we're becoming in the process.
Yes, exactly.
So just this morning, I'm going through some physical therapy because my hip, I had some injuries from the military. So the VA has.
How did you get them? Were you jumping out a plane or something stupid?
I mean, that's probably part of it. Something stupid. I've done that before, but it probably goes back. You know, I've pole vaulted and hurdled and.
Oh my goodness! I mean, it's a like, combo.
Pick your thing, right? Fly. You know, one of the most grueling races to run is the 330 low hurdles.
So that's 330 meters.
It's 300 meters or 300 meters.
And 30 hurdles.
Low hurdles.
So that's what about 3 feet high?
I think it's like 36 inches. Yeah.
Okay. And that's really grueling? I guess I've never done that.
Oh, it's grueling because the fork...
And you can't knock down the hurdles, can you? Do you get a penalty?
You can knock it down, but it slows you down.
Ah, yeah.
So, but the point is, I don't even know we get on these topics. I'm talking about something. How do we get to talking about hurdles?
Well, we were talking about your hip.
Okay, so
back to your hip.
So the point is, like, this is also in martial arts. This is my launch, my foundational leg.
Yeah, well, now you've got to use this one as a foundational leg.
I have to kick opposite, which is going to be difficult. So
that's good, though. It's challenging.
It's going to be really difficult. But hopefully, my goal within the year, we'll talk about next year goals and stuff, like during the Christmas.
Yes, that's a good time.
We'll talk about New Year's.
Yeah, let's do our New Year's one about goals.
But I totally have some physical goals I want to accomplish next year. go through physical therapy, and this guy, I told him, it's like, man, are you from like East Germany? Like, he was like torturing me.
Oh my God.
He's like, so, but he was like, oh no, Tia Jolie, you need like your hips to be, you need to suck your navel into your spine. Now secure that core. Okay, now don't move your hips. Now do this. And they put these like elastic bands on, and you have to go different directions. How you doing? I'm like crying. Yeah, I was like, so it was excruciating. But the point is, I limp out of there, and it's celebration. It's not like, oh, poor me, I have this hip that needs to be
adjusted.
Well, it's not adjusted. I don't even talk about this on the air, but I go to the VA several weeks ago because the pain was excruciating. Well, 6 months ago they said, yeah, Captain, you need to go get your MRI. So I got the hip and lower spine MRI, and they're like, oh yeah, you know what? You got a compound, complex meniscus tear, not meniscus, labrum tear. And I'm like, okay, whatever, I'll fix it. And they're like, no, I need surgery. I'm like, no, I'll fix it. I know how to do this. Yeah. And so we go on, and it's getting better, but still painful. So it's been about 2 months ago now. I go in, they say, well, we want you to at least talk to the surgeon. So I go in and talk to the surgeon.
What do they want to do? Give you a replacement?
Well, the surgeon, of course, they're surgeons.
Yeah.
They have.
Yeah.
But so this is a good story. I'm glad we're talking about this. So I go into the surgeon, and she's sitting there, and she's the surgeon, and the resident is sitting there taking notes, right? And just learning. And here's this scrappy captain comes in.
You do know that Scrappy-Doo was Scooby-Doo's cousin? Scrappy-Doo?
Oh,
yeah. Have a look.
Okay, I'll have to look that up.
Look at the Scrappy-Doo. Anyway, back to sitting here in front of you. Yes.
Thanks for always pulling me off track. I'm thankful for that. So the surgeon tells me, it's like, yeah, Captain, you're going to have this hip replaced because she showed me the x-ray.
Right.
And it's like completely...
And that made sense when
complete
you looked
arthritis.
Right, okay.
I'm like, wait a minute, they said it was a compound tear to the labrum.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
You're going to say this is arthritis.
Yeah, so who's right?
And it was all white. And she's like, yeah, you know. And I said, well, here's what's going to happen. I'm not going to get surgery. I'm going to ask you politely to give me physical therapy because my blood is powerful. My bone's alive. My tissue's alive.
Yeah, and you can regenerate.
I'm going to regenerate that hip. The same way I reversed my spinal stenosis, I'm going to reverse this arthritis.
That's fantastic.
And I told her who I am, what I do, how I do it, how the fluids change. I said, what
was their expression?
This is awesome. The only question I have for you, Dr. Surgeon, is you've told me two things. I've got arthritis, which I can work on, but you also said there's a labor in it.
So could it be both?
It could be. I said, what are my physical restrictions? She said, as long as you can tolerate the pain, you can go to physical therapy to increase the motion and do, because I need to get the synovial fluid, because your joints don't have a pump. You have to move the joint to get oxygen in.
So is it moving them that's causing this pain, but it's also the thing that's going to heal you?
And that's why I tell my people, is like...
So healing can be painful.
Only move, just like I told my kids, just brush the teeth you want to keep, right? Well, same thing. Only move the joints that you want to keep, because otherwise they're going to seize up. So this is the same thing here. If you have an arthritic joint, the idea is not to protect it; it's to try to use it.
Yes, to mobilize it.
And it's painful, but you have to do it. So I'm in the process. So the bottom line on this whole thing is, I'm thankful, I'm grateful that this guy is kicking my ass.
Yes.
Because he's doing me a favor.
Yeah, pain and gain.
And so I'm actually thankful for that. But I think that we kind of got into this because when things happen to us in the world around us, if we don't get an answer we like, let's just pretend in the next year we get all sorts of disclosure about the hideous things our government has done against us. Let's just pretend that happens.
Okay.
We have a choice. Do we curl up on the ground in a fetal position and suck our thumbs? And
a lot of people will.
A lot of people will. Or do we say, okay, let's get together, huddle up. What are we going to do about this? You know, what do we do? How do we make sure this stuff doesn't happen again? And that's where a lot of us are. We're like, okay, we won a lot of the war, the information war. Now we have to disclose some things. But ultimately, we want to leave this world a better place. so that 1,000 years from now, the Thanksgiving celebrations are freaking awesome.
But it is better than it was 100 years ago.
You think?
Yeah, of course.
You think?
Yes, absolutely. Life for the average person is way better than it was 100 years ago in England, 150 years ago. The average person didn't have security, they didn't have food, they didn't have healthcare, they didn't have medicine, they didn't have any counselling systems, we didn't have the Department of Children of Families to protect children, didn't have an official education. I mean, we're doing really, really well compared to any other time in human history.
Wow. Yeah, you and I diverge on this, not because what you say is not accurate, because your perspective based on your data points is very accurate. But I really question 150 years ago what we're not being told about technologies that we used to have. Even the ancient Egyptians, those pyramids, they were not burials for kings.
No.
Those were some sort of an energy system, or they were something, but that's not what we're being told.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so many things. I asked you about Tartaria.
Yes.
I can show you pictures. Even some of the hieroglyphs from, the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, you can see things that look like flying saucers. You can see them in the actual pictures themselves.
But I don't disagree. I think we probably have been lied to, and I think information is withheld from us all the time. So I don't think that you're wrong about any of this. I just don't know the utility. For you, this is very interesting, and you seem to be somewhat of an historian. You believe that we've been lied to. I believe. So do you believe? Well, so these lies are able to occur and not going to be to occur again with the same strength, right? So now most of the stuff's being filmed. We can document everything. We're not going to be lied to like we could in the past. We're going to stop being sheep and we're going to rebel. So then we find out what's all this information that's being withheld from us. That'll be great. Some people are going to be freaked out. Others are going to feel liberated. And then we carry on. But each of us is manifesting reality within this consensus reality. So I'm all for finding the truth. I love it as a project.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating.
And for all those things you said, I'm grateful and I'm thankful. I really am. We're at a place now where we no longer have to be treated like sheep.
Yeah.
Where no longer will you be, this is one of the most bogus things that can happen is for this corporate school system, this centralized school system that teaches from Washington, D.C., that your children will in kindergarten learn this, first grade learn this. And we've spent more money on education, and our people are dumber than ever.
Yeah,
because we don't teach them how to think critically,
and we don't teach
them logic.
But each child is receptive to a different way of learning, and that's very important. Sol Khan wrote a book. I wish I could remember what it was, but it talked about how children learn. But we're all just been a sausage meal, aren't we, as children, going into one way of learning a whole load of bullshit facts that no one could give a shit about. And so the whole education system should be broken down and then rebuilt. And understanding how a child learns and what they're good at an early age, and not just filter them all through like they're all the same. Right? I mean, I don't know how you'd pull that off logistically, but that's got to change because the education system is just a joke.
Well, you start off by decentralizing the education. We don't need a centralized Washington, D.C. centered
billions or whatever
billions of dollars for some bureaucrats who can't find their butts with both hands, telling us how to run our...
So is Trump going to revamp that then?
Oh, the Department of Education's on the chopping block already.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So you're happy about that.
But we still need some coherence to our education systems, but let's bring it down to the local level, or at least the county or state level, right? Because nobody knows more about what your children need to learn in school, or your grandchildren, as it were, than us. And if you're in the middle of Texas and you want, your whole community agrees that it's okay to do open with the pledge and the prayer, do a prayer in the morning, and that's your school district and that's your thing, that's okay. But if you go to another place and you're in Austin, Texas, or Southern California, and you're not going to do the pledge or your whatever, that's okay too. But let's push those things down to the local levels. I don't think we need a central authority telling us how to live our lives.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful.
Outlived its usefulness.
I'm thankful that we have the tools we have. You and I can sit in a studio, throw a mic on, and I'm just going to throw this out there because you don't even know this yet. In fact, I want to say to our listeners in Moscow.
Ooh, Moscow. Helsinki, Finland.
Right? And we even have one from Malaysia.
Nice.
So I want to thank, first of all of our listeners.
Yes.
But also the people internationally. Now, for those of you who want to interact with us, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can go to souldecodes.com and there's a contact page. But also under each episode, there's a spot where you can do comments.
Yeah, that's great.
And Sarah and I will read all of the comments. And if there's something really compelling,
ask us.
We'll actually put it on the air and talk about it.
Yeah, we should do that. That's good.
I'm really grateful and thankful because this is a brand new podcast that we have listeners from across the world.
I know, isn't that? It's very cosmopolitan.
So cool. I know, it's so cool. So we talked a little bit about what Thanksgiving is.
So what is it? So we've got the what is it not then?
Tell me about.
No.
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you about Thanksgiving when you were a child, but
it wasn't.
It didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen. I didn't even know about it. We had a turkey for Christmas.
What was the closest thing you had to Was there a celebration?
Well, May Day, there were pagan festivals, so we had maypole dancing on the 1st of May.
Well, that sounds more fun than Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but I really fucked it up one year. So I was a maypole dancer, and so you each have this ribbon.
You're a pole dancer too.
Maypole.
Oh, maypole.
A maypole is a big pole, and it has ribbons attached to it.
I've seen them before.
And you each have a ribbon, and then you have a whole bunch of you. I don't know how many it was. It was about 12. And then you're choreographed where you have to dance in this certain dance around each other, and it's plaiting the ribbon. So you get this beautiful pattern in this ribbon coming down, and that's what you're doing. Everyone in the audience is looking at how you're plaiting the ribbon. So I'm really into it, and it was the first time my mum came to see anything of mine. So I'm dancing on this maypole, and I was really, really excited about it. And then I fucked the whole thing up because I went the wrong way. So I went on the inside of the girl, came on the outside. She's down here, and this is this really horrible plait. And that was May Day, and that was a festive. I'll never forget that. It was so embarrassing. But May Day was a pagan holiday, and that was a celebration of harvest and to be grateful. I would say that would be what I remember to being the equivalent of Thanksgiving, and it was May Day. Yeah.
And so many Americans, they fancy themselves being all of this, Judeo-Christian, which are totally opposite. Judeo-Christian, what does that even mean? Where does that overlap? This whole idea of these different celebrations being Christian-based, a lot of them are based on pagan traditions.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing.
No.
When I was in West Palm Beach, I used to live in Jupiter, Florida. Some of our favorite people were pagans. The celebrations, like the harvest celebration, was one of the most beautiful and meaningful. I got a little goosebumps.
Nice.
So beautiful. The acknowledgement of how the earth creates abundance. They would acknowledge the circle of life. These are such beautiful ideas. I would rather see that incorporated into Thanksgiving than, a dead turkey carcass with, whatever, it's like, wait a minute. So we talked about Thanksgiving. You didn't really have one. When I was a child, Thanksgiving was the things that were special. We grew up in Detroit. There was always this Thanksgiving Day parade, which was the highlight of the day because the Detroit Lions always lost.
Is that the football team?
The football, yeah. Real football, not soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of you get what I just said, but the Detroit Lions used to always find a way to lose football games, American football games. They always figured out how to lose.
You're just being facetious, aren't you? Why would they figure out how to lose?
I don't know.
You'd
You'd have to go back and ask them because it was the biggest joke in Detroit. It's you don't even see Detroit fans with grocery bags over their heads. Like, I can't.
God.
They'd show up at the Lions games with grocery bags.
Oh,
over
that's
their heads.
awful.
I know, but there were they wanted to be fans. I want to support you, but stop embarrassing
but you suck.
me. Stop embarrassing us. But now it's just the opposite. The Lions this year, so far, they're 10-1.
Oh, that's good.
They play every Thanksgiving. They used to play. We used to play Green Bay. I don't know if it was exclusive, or maybe it was Dallas. But anyway, this year we're playing, I think, Chicago next week. It's a short week for us.
Right.
But we're 10-1.
Nice.
It's so amazing. We're doing so well. So I share this with you because
So the Thanksgiving parade.
the Thanksgiving parade was one of
And
the
you're a
fun
kid.
things.
You're
We're
a
just
kid watching this.
And
yeah.
my mom and dad, they were tired all the time and they didn't really want to go. But this is a chance. Our older cousins sometimes, hey, let's take the little Phillips kids,
Right.
a little tribe, and then throw them in our. Pile us in the trunk or whatever. And that was always fun. The Thanksgiving Day parade.
Yes,
down at
entertaining.
Macy's. It was the bands, the dancers, and the.
See, I love all
cheerleaders
that
and stuff.
pageantry. I love
It was fun, and they had
Yeah.
the floats and everything. So that it's different being on the street with the energy
The
and
visual spectacle.
and you're a little bit cold because it's Detroit in November, right? You're like, oh,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
So those were always fun. Now, my background, I'm half Ukrainian and half Macedonian. All right, so my grandparents always had the most amazing Thanksgiving foods. So I'd go to my mom's house, and it was Ukrainian, and we had, oh my goodness, the foods were just amazing.
Like what?
Well,
I always thought
she would have. They would. It was nothing elaborate like you'd see in a restaurant. It was basically what you would call poor people food.
So what's that? Potatoes?
Potatoes and
Onions.
barley and
Barley.
cabbage. My grandmom's husband, who was not my original grandpa's. That's why I
Right.
don't call him my grandpa.
Right, your
Basically,
step
functionally, he was my
yeah.
step grandpa. Raised bunnies and pigeons.
And you'd eat those.
Well, we didn't know
pigeon
it.
pie.
We didn't know it at the time. but
Bunny burger.
they would make. If you're making chicken soup, why wouldn't you make?
My mum used to do chicken and bunnies.
So we
I've
had pigeon soup.
rabbit. Yeah.
One of my favorites was the. She called it svigli.
What's in that?
It was basically like pickled beets.
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness, that was like I could eat the whole thing. It was so
Yeah.
delicious. So I really do miss the ethnic part of my upbringing. The other side was
Sounds healthy too.
Oh, totally. And then, well, more or less. I mean, the other side we'd have Macedonian, which for those of you who don't know, Macedonia used to be covered like this huge chunk of Europe and Asia.
Right.
Alexander the Great. Very likely, I'm a descendant. We don't know for
interesting.
sure,
I
but
like that.
very likely. Because where all of the nexus of all the energy of the people were, because we're basically from northern Greece,
Right.
which is just north of Greece, which is Macedonia.
I'm going to have to look on the map now.
Yeah, it's a
Macedonia.
tiny little place now, but if you look at the historical maps, it used to span all the way to,
Right.
beyond, like.
So they were allowed to keep a
into
little part
Turkey.
of their territory, but they were conquered.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. We don't know,
really
do we? No idea.
For all you know, we're still alive. We're still fighting, as long as one of us is alive. But we, I do miss the ethnic dishes.
Yeah.
I really,
Yeah.
we had what looks like spinach pie. So, and my grandma on the Macedonian side would make the spinach pie, but we also would use pumpkin.
Oh.
So it'd be like you have the flaky layers, the dough layers, but have pumpkin inside.
Oh, it sounds very nice.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So I really do miss those things.
Have you ever tried recreating those dishes? You should have a Macedonian evening, right? We'll all bring an ingredient. We'll all be in the kitchen. We all have to get a separate ingredient, have a menu, and we should do that.
So you should talk to Robin because she's very interested in that.
Okay, I'll talk to her.
She migrates towards the next, like 2 generations above us. If she can run into somebody that's 80, 90, or 100 years old, that's got their wits about them, that can teach her whatever their ethnicity is.
Right.
If they're from Thailand, she wants to learn. If they're from,
wow, that's beautiful.
From Australia or something, wherever they're from, she wants to learn their cooking methods. That's her thing.
Yes.
Well, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because there's so much depth because it's not just some recipe. They sit there and they talk about what it means, how this came to be. Why do Ukrainians eat the wheat and barley? Well, that's what they grew.
That's what they harvest. Yeah.
That's what they harvested. They were the wheat belt of Asia, of Europe. That's what they did. I always enjoy the stories. And one other thing that I remember, it's during the summer times, especially in Michigan, like as soon as the weather broke in Michigan, we would go to the riverfront and we had ethnic festivals. This was the coolest thing, and I hope we get these back sometimes.
So an ethnic, are they dressing up in national costume?
Totally. So if it was like German week, right? So they'd be like, I forget if it was a week or 2 weeks or whatever, but You'd go, it's like, oh my goodness, this is German week. And everyone would go downtown Detroit on the riverfront. They'd block it off. And there'd be German, Bratfest. And they'd have all the German strudel and all of these really cool things to eat.
Sauerkraut.
And then the next week would be Polish. And the next week would be,
niches, Polish,
Russian.
Knishes.
And then they'd have the Lebanese fest.
I love that. I love Middle Eastern food.
What was fascinating was, as a child, if you watch the news, you would think that, well, golly, 1968 in Detroit? Because I grew up in 1968 in Detroit. I was 5 years old. So I'm like, if you look at that era, most people are like, oh, there was riots in the streets and stuff. And there were. Yeah. But those were so isolated. It was just really to mobilize the hearts and minds of people. We would go downtown and we would watch boat races on the water. We had such a good experience with
festival.
They were a festival. I was a Ukrainian dancer. So we would perform on the riverfront. There'd be the Ukrainian music. And if you look at the Russian Cossack dancers and the beautiful girls.
Yes, I like the Cossack hats.
So beautiful. Yeah. The Cossacks, So I really hope we get to the point where we can love each other and we can start celebrating our differences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't want everybody to be the same.
No.
That would be so boring.
Yeah. But that's what America has always been, hasn't it? A melting pot of cultures, and we all should get along. It's not happening now because we've been divided, but we should get along. The value in America should just be to have it's a Christian culture, isn't it, America? But you should worship whatever your version of your God is and just be peaceful and loving and be a great person and allow other people the expression to do the same. The only thing for me is that I don't believe that Christianity has told us the premise of our existence. I believe we're coming back to this planet more than once, over and over again, and we're in a matrix. But other than that, I don't give a shit about what religion anyone is. And you want to do this, you want to do that, then come together and let's talk about it, let's share ideas and just be you. I mean, religion to me, have a religion, it's got to be telling you the truth about what you're doing on this planet. So, but I'm still fine about you celebrating that religion. I don't believe your religion is serving you particularly well, but you're free, and I don't judge you for wanting to be a member of that religion, and you should be free to do that. I'd still question religion and what the God type is that's overseeing that religion. But let's just embrace all other cultures. And I think most people think like us, though. Well, right? I mean,
and you're correct. Your statement is perfectly correct. Most people do think like us. If you're a Muslim, and as long as you're not hurting other people, like if you're Muslim and your relationship with your Creator is serving you and your family, be the best Muslim you can be. Yeah. But it's only when you try to hurt other people, you steal from them, take their stuff, take their land. If you're doing those things...
Kill them, rape them.
Yeah, rape them, kill them, whatever. Then that's not okay.
Yeah.
And I think most of us know that that's not okay. In terms of America being a melting pot, we do have policies and procedures. It's like if I came into Sarah Tirri's home and started rearranging your furniture and saying, and I'm not invited, there was no meeting of the minds. I just showed up and started owning your house, right? I go into your liquor cabinet, pulling out the bourbon, right? And you're
as long as you get the vacuum cleaner out, stop polishing the window,
right? So it's like you're gonna be like, who are you? It's like you know what? Knock on the front door. Use your manners. Ask permission. Introduce yourself.
State your intentions.
We want you here, but we're a peace-loving nation. We want you to be peaceful. So I don't know if this is useful or not. I like this conversation because what is Thanksgiving? Clearly to a Brit, it's nothing. But to an American like you have both perspectives. I think that's valuable.
I think it's based on some mythological story, probably, right? But I like the sentiments that there's a formalization of what it means to be grateful and thankful, and families come together and they overeat and they chill out, make each other laugh, and I think it's a beautiful holiday. I really like it. Christmas is the same for me. Christmas feels more sacred to me for some reason, but it's a similar thing. But I would suggest be thankful every day. I mean, I wake up and before my mind, so I wrote this morning. I wanted to read this out. So thankfulness. Okay, so this is my take on it. Using the full force of my will, I consider the active seeking of a thankful and grateful heart to be a vital part of my spirituality because it allows me to recognize and appreciate the blessings in my life which foster the connection I know I have to the higher power of which I am part. Thankfulness as a resting state increases my mind's ability to pursue positivity and promotes within me a sense of well-being because it shifts my focus away from the default setting of my ego mind, which is geared to seek out all that is wrong with the world in order to improve it. Civilizations are built because the fault-finding mechanism of the ego mind, but allowing one's attention to overly dwell in fault-finding mode lowers one's vibration and therefore the physical manifestations which appear in one's outer reality are of a lower grade too, and this theory can be tested. And on practical terms, thankfulness is nourishing because it helps me feel more positive emotions, it helps me embrace and relish good experiences, it tangibly improves my health, helps me cope with adversity, and helps me build stronger relationships.
That is amazing. Would you mind sending that to me if you're okay with it?
Yeah.
I'm going to make a PDF and I'm going to put that in the flow in the show notes. I think that's relevant. So, Sarah, thank you for sharing that. That was really amazingly well written.
Thank you.
No surprise there. We talked a little bit about what Thanksgiving is, a little bit about what it's not, but there's one other thing that about what it's not. That this kind of makes, I think all of the Hallmark holidays, I call them, are you familiar with the term?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, it's Valentine's Day. If you're not buying your loved one or significant other this beautiful piece of jewelry, you're an idiot.
You hate the consumerism.
Yeah. The consumerism is just kind of, it's overdone.
Big money-making machine.
Same thing like with Christmas or, whatever.
But I love gifts. I'm into this whole consumerism.
Well, you and I are clearly... everyone's got their language they speak. Like, you're a gift giver.
I love
you're always
gifts.
Bringing some seeds.
I give a gift and I receive a gift.
and you and Robin are similar that way. It's so beautiful because I'm a server.
Yes.
I'm not a gift giver necessarily, but I like to serve people and help people and make your life better and help you. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to impose myself on you, but if you need help with something, I'm there. Yeah. You need a trailer, I'm there. Yeah. You need this moved, I'm there. Yeah. That's because mine is one of service. So I think we need all of us. We have different ways of expressing love.
But I do agree with you. Consumerism is vulgar, isn't it? And it puts a lot of pressure on you as well. And that's But I kind of like it. I love all these holidays. The more the merrier for me.
So let's. The reason I bring this up is because Thanksgiving has become so commercial. I mean, it's not even the end of summer, and they're already talking about Christmas sales and Thanksgiving. And the one thing that Black Friday.
I don't leave the house.
What is the thing about Black Friday?
It's quite an ominous title, isn't it, Black Friday?
Do you know what it means?
No, I don't.
Oh, yeah, so...
Is it to do with the plague or something? I mean, it sounds horrible, but it's not. It's just when everything's cheap and put on sale, isn't it?
Well, I like your definition better. It's a plague. But Black Friday is essentially, it's an accounting term. And it basically, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if somebody's listening to this and I'm way off there, but it's to my understanding that Black Friday is simply most companies, traditional brick and mortar companies, they have all these expenses. It's so expensive to run the company and pay their executives and pay for their buildings and computers and trucks that they go most of the year without making a profit. So they spend 87%, 90% of the year breaking even. And it's this one day that they turn the corner. They go from the red to the black.
Okay, right.
So this is their big thing to really make their spreadsheet go from a net loss for the year to turn a profit for the year. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of my understanding of it. The takeaway from our angle is the consumerism is ridiculous. And so I'm not going to pretend to say that I don't enjoy receiving a piece of jewelry or giving a gift to somebody. I love that. But I think that the whole idea of Thanksgiving should not be pigeonholed into one day or one weekend. I think Thanksgiving should be a state of being.
Yes, absolutely.
A state of gratitude where, and I
daily waking practice.
That's why I love what you wrote there and why I want to put it in the show notes, because whenever I coach somebody, I always have them do personal affirmations. and write them out.
Yeah.
Write out their, I am this, I am this.
Do it first thing in the morning as well, the moment you wake up.
So what I'd like people to move towards in time is this idea that the next breath you take is a gift.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking across from this beautiful Sarah Tirri smile. That's a gift. So what I teach my people is anything that serves you, that builds you, a breath, fresh water, a
Toilet
smile.
paper.
Toilet paper's a rocking idea.
Yeah.
Although
Just be grateful for it. I mean, I'm grateful now for this view that I have behind you, because we're up in your tree house and the light with that oak tree. I mean, and capture the moments. I mean, to be thankful can take place all day long. And you'll be in a higher vibration, so your outer manifestations will, they'll mirror that. So, yeah, I mean, I love this once a year tradition, but I think it should be a daily waking practice.
I do too. I like that. So I would say my wish for people would be that they go forth every day, every breath you take, every time, every pulse, every time your heart beats.
Notice as well.
Notice it. Be present with that. Stay present. And along the lines of your body, like you mentioned, in your paper you talked about the health. There's a direct correlation. You can read this. You can study the works from Dr. Bruce Lipton.
Oh, yes.
The biology of belief. But if you believe you're worthy, see, a lot of people, they can't go forward in this position of gratitude because they have this baggage they're carrying because they did something stupid when they were younger.
Yeah. Regret.
Or the regret, I should have done this, or why didn't I buy Bitcoin?
Forgive yourself. Self-forgiveness. Move on, baby.
It's like, you know what? Learn from it and do better.
Yeah, and that's the nature of evolution, isn't
Learn
it?
from it and do better. That's all you can do.
Yeah, trial and error.
I just but people, they're going to be a lot more healthy if they cut bait. If something in your past is not serving you, let it go.
Yes. Yeah. And forget about it. Don't rehash it in your mind. Center your awareness. Don't keep uploading thoughts which are self-disparaging.
Yeah, Joe Dispenza talks about it in terms of replaying old crappy movies.
Yeah.
And
it just means to refocus your attention.
Right.
All you have to do when you see yourself trapped in a thought form like a crappy movie that Dispenza talks about, just refocus your attention. Bring it back to the present moment. Do that all day long. And then you'll actually be automatically grateful because the present moment is beautiful.
Oh, it's so pretty. So I'm really grateful. I want to say that I'm thankful for having you in my life. It's been a little over a year. I think we've known each other.
That's right. I know.
We're just getting started. Now, you just got back from England.
Yes, that's a whole different podcast.
Oh, it's a different podcast.
Yes, cannot talk about it now, but I do want to talk about that, but we'll do it on the next one.
Okay. Any last thoughts about
Well, thank you to all our listeners.
Yeah.
We're grateful and thankful to you for listening. Get in touch with us. Any comments or questions? We're big on questions here. And I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful that you're going to be healthy real soon with your hip, right? It's happening. You're calling in the unseen.
I'm totally
as though it were.
I'm totally hip. I'm getting stronger. Well, I told my daughter called me from Texas, and she has some family members on her other side that are not in good health, and it makes when you have people around you that are suffering, and this will be a conversation we have next time.
Yes, let's do it for that one. Yeah.
But when you have people around you suffering, it brings you to an awareness of the people who are not suffering and how valuable those relationships are. So she called and we had a conversation, and I assured her that unless there's other plans for me, I want to hit 100 years old in full stride.
Yeah, good. Let's do it.
Full stride.
Let's do it.
So, but I'm really grateful.
It's possible. I absolutely believe in the power of the mind.
Our body wants to be young. We get in the way of ourselves.
Well, it's just our mind. Yeah. We've got to control our minds. And this is just a walk in the park if we can do that.
So, Sarah, we're going to publish this on Thursday, Thanksgiving. We also are going to do our regular Friday. That's going to air. And then next time we talk, I really want to talk about your trip to England.
Yes. And
I know you had some important
Yes,
things
there's a lot to talk
there.
about. And we'll get into that.
Cool.
And I look forward to that.
Great.
All right. Well,
Once again,
thank
folks,
you.
this is Sarah Tirri. I'm Dr. Tia Jolie Phillips. Please visit Soul Decodes. And if we brought you some value today, anything at all that we talked about that you feel can benefit somebody else, please share this with some people. We'd love to have them on board as well.
Nice.
All right. Bless you all. Take care.
Right.
Soul Decodes, a feature presentation, airs every Friday on the Earth Angel Media Network. This episode of Soul Decodes is sponsored and produced by Pure. Optimize your life by taking your health to the next level. Listen now to learn how Pure will make your world better.
Pure is an American-based distribution system of online portals that give discounted access to clean, potent, natural, and ethically sourced healthy solutions for fat loss, muscle gain, immaculate skincare, immune system support, whole body cleanse, physiological balance, and performance support for athletes of all ages. Pure handpicks the best products and nutrients from world-class companies, always adding to their quickly growing wellness lineup that now includes Korean skincare, medical-grade nutraceuticals listed as pharmaceutical alternatives in a physician's desk reference, and healthy coffee that rivals the world's best, but for only about $1 per cup. Soul Decodes listeners looking for vitality, youth, beauty, and better health can get 25% off retail by visiting livepure.com/Sarah Tirri and signing up for free as a preferred customer. If you are a content creator, influencer, or home-based entrepreneur looking for worldwide cash flows from the emerging gig economy, Pure's state-of-the-industry brand partner affiliate program can bring you up to 7 different payment vectors as bonuses. As a content creator aligned with Live Pure and Earth Angel Media, you will enjoy massive co-marketing benefits, including a cutting-edge website that is personally branded to you or to your business. Sign up as a brand partner at livepure.com/Sarah Tirri, or drop us a note at connect@earthangelproject.com to get more information.